Hey eSkate World, eSkate Hooligan here, and today we are going to do another 500-mile review of a board. During this review, you might notice that I'm also wearing some additional protective gear. I'm doing a little bit of testing with the Nobleman protective gear, so watch out for that video coming out soon. Today we're on the Eovan GTS Carbon Super. Now, this is by far my second favorite board. Y'all know that my favorite board is obviously the Zeus, and this is by far my second favorite board. Now, we're gonna break this video into a couple components, and it's purely and simply because of the weather. Number one, it is supposed to be 101 degrees out today, and right now it's pretty warm. And second of all, the wind is brutal. It's not really affecting the riding, but it's definitely affecting the audio. So we're gonna break this video out, and at a certain point here, you're probably gonna see me back in a protected area where it's not affecting the audio nearly as much. Now, at the time of riding this board, which I'm actually on right now, I am at 490 miles. And by the time I get done shooting this video, I will easily be at 500 plus miles. Overall, let's talk about this board. I really like this board. It is a great board. It's a rock solid board. It is a fun board to ride. I can't say anything really bad about it. I've got a couple things that I would like to see Eovan fix and take care of maybe in their next iteration. But overall, this is a really good board that is fun to ride, and you all know that I like to ride. I get a lot of miles out of this board. We'll talk a little bit about that in the battery section of the review. Overall, great board. I would still recommend this board to people if they're looking for a really good board. So at this point in time, just purely and simply because I'm running out of space from south to north because the wind's out of the south, I'm going to switch over and we're going to do the rest of this review in somewhat of a protected area where you're not going to be affected by the wind noise. See you in just a second. Hey eSkate World, wow, that was kind of a, I won't say a brutal ride this morning, but it was definitely a windy ride. We're back in an area here where we're a little bit protected so that I can convey to you and you can actually hear what I want to say. The wind is really blowing. It's about 100 degrees today and the wind is extremely tight today. It was really affecting the audio, so I just felt that it was probably better to get back into a protected area and talk to you about the rest of this board. So again, we're going to do a 500-mile review of this board. At this time right now, the board has a 510.9 miles on it, so we're going to call it 511 miles. So this is truly a 500-mile review. Let's dig into this board a little bit after 500 miles and kind of see, tell you a little bit about what's going on. Let's talk about the deck of this board. The deck is a carbon fiber board or carbon fiber deck. No issues with fractures, no issue with stress fractures, no issues with breakage, no issues at all with that. Other than your minor little scrapes that you get from, you know, like a rock or a twig hitting it, or maybe you hit it with a curb or something like that. This deck has held up very well. You can also notice that it's a very thin deck. It's probably one of my most favorite decks, just purely and simply because of the thinness of it. It's not a thick, heavy deck, and I really like that about the board. It has a really nice looking profile. The deck on the board or the rider side, it is a very flat deck. Again, remember, there's not a lot of concave to this deck, or the shoulders do have a slight uptick on them, enough to kind of get you locked into the board, but I would like to maybe see it be just a little bit more aggressive in there. This is a maroon deck. That is something that caught my attention right away. I love maroon, so I really liked the look of the deck overall. The deck, no issues with. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the grip tape and the foam that they use on the board. One thing that Eovan did is they used a series of smaller pieces of foam and grip tape. which when you do that, a larger piece and a good adhesive kind of helps keep that from sliding or moving around. When you have smaller pieces, they have a tendency to slide, or in this case, we even have one right here that is getting ready to fall off. Now, I have had to reapply several pieces of grip tape, and in some cases, in areas that I really put a lot of friction, I've actually had to move to a Gorilla super glue to actually put the foam grip tape or foam back down. Eovan, I would like to see you move away from the smaller pieces and move to larger pieces, which would help probably keep that from sliding around. Let's talk a little bit about the actual grip tape that's on here. The grip tape that Eovan puts on here is more of a fine sandpaper grip tape. I mean, it's okay, but it'd be nice to have something with a little bit more grip to it. Now, what I've had to do is I've had to replace several of the individual pieces, and I use the Mob M80 grip tape. I just cut it out in the design, and then I turn around and reapply it, let it sit for a while before I actually ride it, and it's actually worked very well. You might be able to tell the ones that I have actually replaced. We've replaced several of them over here, and you can probably identify the ones that I have not replaced because the Mob M80 grip tape has a little bit more gray to it than what your other tape does. So I would really like to see Eovan get rid of the individual little pieces and move to a larger set or larger pieces to keep it from slipping around and sliding. Is it a deal breaker? No, it's not a deal breaker. It's just, I think, an improvement that they would be able to do. Moving on to the trucks. These are forged trucks. I really like these trucks. They are very, very stable. They're a nice wide truck. I believe they're 12-inch trucks. They're great for carving, great for stability. They are a double kingpin truck, so this board is ultra carvy. I really like the ability to carve on this particular board. Now, I did not replace the bushings. These are the original bushings in here. I do have a set of riptides on order and coming in. I'll give you an idea of how it changed the ride. But I did cinch these down quite a bit to give me more stability while at the same time keeping some of the carviness. But overall, these trucks are fantastic. I really like them. Again, no stress fractures, no issues, nothing like that. Just a really good set of trucks in there. Let's talk a little bit about the wheels and the bearings, okay? Let's talk about the bearings for a second. I just immediately do away with the stock bearings that come with these boards anymore, and I move over to the ones that I've always told you about, which are the Black Mambas. I love those bearings, and that's what's in this board right now. That's what's in that wheel right now, and we're just going to let that wheel go while we talk a little bit more about this. So I would recommend just replacing the bearings with your favorite bearings, or in that case, the Black Mambas that I pick up off Amazon. I have not had to replace any of the hub bearings. I do keep extra sets just in case I need to, but so far I have not had to replace any of those hub bearings. They've just ran perfectly fine. Wheels. I run the Cloud 120s. I also picked up the rubber 125s from Eovan, as well as I picked up their off-road wheels. All of those wheels I really like. The one thing I will tell you is that their 125 wheels are a little bit harder. You feel a little bit more of the ground in there than you do with the Cloud wheels, but they are a very good grippy wheel. I really like them. Again, I've run the off-road a handful of times. Really good wheels, really good grip to them. They do lift the height of the board, obviously, as well as they will eat up any imperfection in the road. So any of the wheels will work perfectly well on this particular board. So that's kind of up to you as to what wheels you actually run. Like I said, I run the Cloud 120s. Let's talk a little bit about the motors in here. These motors are the 6374s. They do have a KV rating of 170. Each motor is kicking out 3,500 watts, so we've got a total of 7,000 watts there. That gives you some great acceleration on this board, whether you're starting from zero or whether you're on a roll and you want to lean into the accelerator a little bit and pick up speed. These motors actually have a really good acceleration point to them. The other thing that I kind of like about these motors, which is probably not anything anyone's going to worry about, but they sing. And they sound to me like a turbo on a diesel. And so a lot of times when I'm riding, I'll actually lean into the accelerator just to hear that sing. And it is an attention getter. I've had people look when I lean into it a little bit just because it does have that. Now, I don't know if that's on all of these boards or if it's just on this one, but I really like how these actually sing. Acceleration wise, great. I really like the acceleration in these. I've got a couple other boards that have the 6374 motors on them, and going up certain hills, I might hit 19-20 miles per hour, but on this particular board, I can easily hit 25, even if I'm at the base of it or in the middle of it. So really good acceleration. I also attribute that somewhat to the KV rating on these. Now, you know that the KV rating of 190 is more for speed. You're going to have more top end, whereas a KV rating of 140, you're going to have more torque. These are 170, so they kind of land somewhat in the middle there, and they've got a really good set of torque and a really good set of high end. So perfect middle landing. So I love the motors on this board. That wheel is just starting to finally slow down. So that kind of tells you how good those bearings are in those wheels. Let's talk a little bit about the battery. This board has the Panasonic 21700 batteries in it. It is 852, let's make sure I get that right, 852 watt hour battery on this board. It's a 12S4P. I love the battery. Again, these are Panasonics, okay? This board I'm getting, now remember I'm 195 pounds. This board I'm getting between 28 and 30 miles per charge, which is great because I love to ride, okay? So again, I'll jump on this board, take it out, and I ride a lot, and that battery is hanging in there. 500 miles, numerous charges. As of yet, I have not seen a whole lot of sinkage in that battery. When I first started out, I was getting right around that 28 miles per charge, and I'm still getting it after 500 miles. So I think this has got a great battery in it. I have not replaced the battery. This is still the original battery in here. Let's take a minute and let's talk about the VSC that's in this. This is a VSC, not an ESC. And I'm really liking the VSC concept for a multitude of reasons. Number one, through the controller, I'm able to set the diameter of my wheels. So right now I've got the cloud wheels on, they're 120. So I go into the controller and I set the wheel size to 120. It recalibrates everything so that my speedometer and my odometer are all pretty much accurate. If I put the 125, the Eovan 125 rubber wheels on, I just go in here very quickly and I change it to 125. Again, it recalculates it. If I turn around and put on the off-road, I go in, make the adjustment, and again, it's all there. I really like that about the VSC system. But here's the big thing that I like about it, and I would love to see more boards move to a VSC. This board has 4 modes for riding. It has a low, it has a drive, it has a sport mode, and then it has a turbo mode. Now, I generally am in sport and turbo. So what I can do in the VSC is I can set the braking and the acceleration separate for each of those modes. So for example, in the sport mode, I might have my acceleration set here, but in the turbo mode, I might have my acceleration set here, in which I do, because I have a little bit in turbo mode, I want to hit that acceleration a little bit harder, so I set it a little bit different so that I have more acceleration. The same way with braking, I can set the braking level at each of the 4 modes. So for example, I might have my braking level set here, but then in the turbo mode, I might have it set just a little bit stronger because maybe I'm obviously traveling at a faster speed. I'm probably going to want to have a little bit different braking. So I really like the VSC in this system and being able to customize it a little bit. Let's talk about the remote. The remote I'm not overly fond of. First of all, it doesn't fit well. It's a very thin remote and it just does not fit well in the hand, in my opinion. The screen is excessively small. It's about a postage stamp size. It is in color, which is nice, but it is extremely small. And I think they could do a different setup of it and have the screen be probably almost twice the size that it is right now. Also, the buttons on here are way too small, so they're right here. If you're in a dark lit area, it is hard to find those buttons. They are actually recessed a little bit to where it is difficult to find. So I really wish they would rework the remote on this particular board. Overall, let's talk about overall. Overall, I really like the board. It is not my favorite board. It is my second favorite board, and I like it purely and simply because of the acceleration that it has and because of the look. This board is an attention getter board. I like the maroon. I like the red accents on it. I like the sound of it. It is just an attention getter board. If you're looking for a board that is going to be a great carvy board because of the double kingpin trucks, you're looking for a board that's an attention getter, that is just fun to ride, this is a board I would give serious consideration to. I think you would definitely like this particular board. So that's kind of where it stands after 500 miles. The board's held up very well. No complaints at all on this board other than the foam grip tape. That is the only complaint that I have. So again, I'd recommend it. Go out, take a look at it, see if it's something that you maybe want to add to your e-skate collection, or just maybe even if it's your first board. Check it out. Hopefully you found this 500-mile review video helpful. Look for some of the other videos coming out in regards to a review of some of the safety gear. We've got a shoe review coming out. We've got a couple other reviews coming out on some equipment. Look for those soon. E-Skate Hooligan, ride hard, carve safe. Have a great day.